To help you with your research, I will be reading parts of this nonfiction text about polar bears for you. This text is called Plight of the Polar Bear. I will be looking at some specific things within the book, as well as pointing out some of the text features that we have practiced learning. As you can see, there are a number of text features on this page. Here is a map, which shows you where things are. This particular map is showing you where polar bears live. They have drawn a circle on the globe and then shown you a close-up version of what is called the Arctic Circle. This is where polar bears are found. You can also see a table of contents. This will help us navigate the nonfiction text and read certain parts that we want to. Of course, this book will be full of photographs, as the one I've just put a star on here. To help understand what the photographs are, here is a caption. And here is a heading, Introduction. This is the first section of the book. I'm not going to read this first section, but take a look at the picture. The caption says, "The Tundra During Winter." Now let's look at the next heading, Tundra, Winter versus Summer. I will read this section to you. During much of the year, the temperature in the tundra is extremely low, well below freezing. Winter lasts for more than 6 months, and for several weeks during that time, the sun never rises above the horizon. The soil just below the surface remains permanently frozen throughout the year. And to make conditions even harsher, there are no barriers like trees or hills to slow down the cold winds that sweep across this ice and snow-covered land. The word used to describe the frozen soil of the tundra is permafrost. It is a combination of the words permanent and frost, because the ground in which the polar bear lives is always frozen. Summer in the tundra is quite a contrast from winter. If you remember the word contrast, it means different. The sun does not set for several weeks on end. Often it just peaks above the horizon, appearing to move as Earth rotates. During this season, the average temperature remains above freezing. This means that even though it is getting warmer, it's still extremely cold there. The snow has a chance to melt, and low-growing plants such as mosses, lichens, grasses, and small shrubs grow. Millions of insects hatch and fill the air, ground, and pools of water. The abundance of insects attracts huge numbers of birds that migrate to the tundra and make it their summer home. Even mammals that migrated south to escape the harsh winter return to the tundra to feed each summer. Look closely at the word migrate. What kind of text feature is that? If you said bold words, you're correct. Despite the region's harsh conditions, one inhabitant lives there year-round, one of Earth's most magnificent creatures, the polar bear. This creature of the north is well suited to the inhospitable conditions of the tundra, but in recent years the polar bears living along the northern edge of the tundra have been struggling to survive. The tundra's harsh conditions are not the reason. It is the Earth and its rapid alterations. Alterations means changes. Did you know? Some scientists believe that polar bears cover their black noses with their paws to make themselves harder to spot as they hunt for seals. Polar bears are very smart. Built to survive. Polar bears are adapted to survive the severe conditions of the Arctic. They appear to be all white, but each strand of hair is actually transparent. Transparent means that their hair is actually not a color at all. It's clear. It has been commonly believed that this clear fur carries sunlight to the bear's black skin, where it is absorbed and changed to heat. However, studies on polar bear fur have proven that it does not transmit sunlight to the skin. Since the sun is low on the horizon, or not even above the horizon during the coldest Arctic months, it wouldn't make much difference if the fur was able to transmit sunlight to the bear's skin. Below you can see a picture of a polar bear in the frozen icy water. The caption says, "Polar bear fur keeps them warm in icy water." Do you know that polar bears have a very good sense of smell? They can smell a dead, rotting seal from 32 kilometers or 20 miles away. Polar bear fur is waterproof, so the icy waters in which they swim don't make them cold. Their white fur also helps them to blend in with the snow, making it easier for them to stalk their prey. Polar bears' main food source is seals, but they also eat walruses, smaller whales, and some land animals. They do most of the seal hunting during the winter months when ice forms over the Arctic Ocean. By blending into the snowy landscape, a polar bear poised to pounce may not be spotted by a seal. Polar bears will wait patiently for hours near a hole in the ice where seals come up for air, which we talked about in class. Let's look at these polar bear paws. Polar bear paws can be up to 12 inches in diameter. That means 12 inches across. 12 inches is the size of a ruler. So imagine how long a ruler is, and that's how big a polar bear paw is. The claws, pads, and hair on a polar bear's paw keep the bear from slipping on the ice. You can see right here on the labels that there are 3 parts to the paw. There is the claws, the pads, and the hair. Look at the difference between the human hand and the polar bear foot. Look how much bigger the polar bear foot is. Adult polar bears need to eat a great deal of food to survive. They store fat to get them through the seasons when they're not hunting. They have large stomachs and will eat nearly 100 pounds in a single meal. That would be like eating 400 quarter hamburgers at one time. 2 layers of fur and a thick layer of body fat insulate or keep the bears warm from extremely cold temperatures. They even have fur on the bottoms of their large paws. Polar bears are excellent swimmers. They have been spotted hunting seals up to 50 miles out to sea. They swim with their heads above water by dog paddling at over 6 miles per hour. Bears use their huge paws like large paddles to move through the water, and a thick layer of blubber, or fat, helps them remain afloat. Math Minute. A polar bear swimming at an average speed of 5 kilometers per hour leaves the shore to swim to an ice floe. The bear swims to 4 more ice floes. It rests 10 minutes on each one before swimming to the next one. When it reaches the final ice floe, it waits patiently near an air hole for a seal to surface. The bear swims a total of 30 kilometers. How much time passed from the time the bear left the shore until it reached the last ice floe? The answer is 6 hours and 40 minutes. And here is a neat picture of a polar bear underwater swimming. I'm not going to read the next section to you, but the pictures show below that pollution from cars and pollution from other things are endangering our polar bears. Let's look at this heading, Other Problems. Some other problems for polar bears. Look at the chart below. Number 1 shows toxic chemicals that end up in Arctic air and water. This means oil, trash, and things that are thrown away into the ocean. Those then get eaten by fish and seals. Arctic seals eat fish that have high levels of pollution in their bodies. And then, number 3, polar bears eat Arctic seals whose body fat is full of stored toxic chemicals. So when we put bad things into the ocean, the fish eat it. And then the seals eat the bad fish, and then the polar bear eat the bad seals, which is causing some of our polar bears to get sick and even die. Another threat to polar bears comes from the desire of humans to use more and more fuel. To meet this human need, oil and gas companies are planning to drill in the Arctic regions where polar bears live. Much of this drilling would occur where female polar bears build dens and give birth to their cubs. This exploration and drilling could have serious consequences for the polar bear's ability to survive. That's why it's really important that we don't pollute and we take great measures to protect our polar bears. Let's look at this chart of polar bear facts. Polar bear facts. Height. Males or boys can be 8 to 11 feet. Females or girls can be 6 to 8 feet. Weight. Boys can weigh 500 to 1,000 pounds. Females or girls are much smaller and only weigh 440 to 700 pounds. Even though that's much smaller than a boy polar bear, that's a huge bear. The color of them is off-white. They mostly eat seal, fish, seabirds, and berries. And the average lifespan is 25 to 30 years old. I hope you learned some interesting facts about polar bears for your polar bear research.